Good evening, viewers. Tonight we're diving into a story that's about to send shockwaves through both Hollywood and Washington, D.C. just a month before the 2024 election. A new documentary is promising to reveal a side of Donald Trump that America has never seen before, and we've got the man behind it all in our studio remotely. Joshua Macciello, the head of Global Ascension Studios, is the driving force behind The Man You Don't Know, a film that's already creating buzz for its unprecedented access to Trump's inner circle. We're talking intimate interviews with Trump's children, commentary from celebrities like Hulk Hogan and Frank Stallone, and stories that have never been shared before with the public. But this is not just another Trump documentary. Joshua and his team are on a mission to cut through the noise, the tweets, and the headlines to show the man behind the public persona in a political landscape more divided than ever. Can this film change the conversation about one of the most controversial figures in American history? Well, tonight we'll get an exclusive look behind the scenes of this ambitious project. What challenges did Joshua face in telling this story? What surprised him during the filming process most? And with the election just around the corner, what impact does he think this documentary can have on the race for the White House? So whether you're a Trump supporter, a critic, or just a lover of powerful storytelling, this is one interview you do not want to miss. So get ready for a conversation that could change the way you think about Donald Trump, documentary filmmaking, and the power of untold stories. Joshua Macciello, welcome to the show. Pardon me.
Thank you so much, Macciello. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, Joshua. So what inspired you to take on a project as potentially controversial as this Donald Trump documentary at this moment in time?
Well, our studio was founded right at the beginning of COVID, and we did that because we didn't like the kind of movies and TV shows that were being fed to our children. We didn't like the woke agenda. We didn't like creativity from the artists that are creating things being told they have to use these kind of actors and this many of this and this many of that. So we created our own studio to give creativity back to the creatives. And in that process, we went through COVID and we started to really unravel in what was going on in the world. And, President Trump has been an amazing human being. So we decided we're not documentary makers. My partner, Arthur Sarkeesian, made every Rush Hour, While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock, Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis. So, we do feature films and that's our end game, but we need to right a wrong. And our first film we did was called The Relentless Patriot about Scott LeBedo. We were able to get it into theaters. And that was our test, if you could, because Scott, if you don't know him, he's a relentless patriot. I mean, he's fighting for our rights out there while being one of the best artists that you'll see. And we were able to get it into theaters as a conservative company and a conservative topic, which Scott is. We then parlayed that into going to Mar-a-Lago, premiering the movie there, meeting President Trump. And my end game was always to walk out of there with getting the ability to do a movie about his life, about the sides of him that nobody knows. And, media has been feeding folks constantly on what they want you to believe he is rather than who he really is.
Now, there's a film that was just released. It's very controversial. In fact, I believe one of the advertisements for it was just rejected because it was so controversial. A feature film about Donald Trump's life. Have you heard about that film? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know which film you're talking about. I'm a focused person. I don't pay attention to anything else that's going on, any other noise in the world. We basically worked with the Trump family, hands on, all of them. They're a part of this. They're a piece of this movie. So for me, there's a lot of other things going on in the world that, quite frankly, is not in my radar. And my focus is to make sure that this film gets out. It's coming out October 25th in theaters everywhere. I could care less about any other projects that are being made.
I definitely respect that. I know how that feels. Just keep your head down and focus on the job at hand. Now, the film is called The Man You Don't Know. What aspects of Trump's life or character you think will surprise viewers the most?
You know, um, Before he came down that escalator, a lot of people, he was beloved, and a lot of people put him in rap songs and movies and films. And the one thing that you used to be able to find a lot more stories online about him was his philanthropic ways, his generosity towards those in need. You get a deep insight of how this man changed people's lives, that these people were lost, and they were on a very big downswing, and Donald Trump stepped in and put oxygen in their lungs and gave them a chance. I mean, literally, some people were physically dying, and he stepped up and put his money where his mouth was and helped them get treatment. And 10, 15 years later, they're still alive and thriving. So you're going to hear a lot of stories like that, people losing their homes, their lives. There was a generational farm that's a family owned from the 1800s, how he stepped in and affected their lives. So there's a lot of stories like that that really are going to educate folks on this person that the media created as a demonic monster, is really a good man deep at heart.
Now we're going to watch the trailer. You want to set it up for us?
Yeah, I mean, listen, this movie is amazing. You're going to see the impact of who Donald Trump is in 2 minutes.
All right, let's roll it, Brian, and we'll come back with more questions.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans representing extremism.
Donald Trump is a great threat to our democracy.
The greatest threat the world faces.
It's destructive to our democracy to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
He has to be eliminated.
That he is a misogynist, homophobic, racist.
Eliminated.
Someone's on top of the roof. Look.
You want me to tell you something about Donald Trump that the media doesn't know? How about this? He's a wonderful human being.
My father's a man who has a heart of gold, and it's the side that a lot of America does see, and the side that the media doesn't want you to see.
This is a guy running for president. He had no place else he would rather be than right there with his granddaughter in her pre-K class.
He's a very generous, honest, nice guy.
He's done a lot of incredible things for a lot of people, but he's not willing to take credit for it.
My only child, he was hit head-on by an illegal alien with 2 felony convictions. And I started to become suicidal. As I was telling him about losing my best friend, I could see him tear up. Donald Trump didn't just save my life. He helped me share my Dominic.
He is actually very relatable.
Hello, everybody.
When you break him down, he's actually just a regular guy. He's a great athlete, loves to watch sports.
He's a really good golfer. He's crushing hot dogs on the course.
What's your specialty today?
He's an all-American type person. He loves good casual food.
He does like his chocolate bars.
The deals we have with other countries are unbelievably bad.
He can't stand to see things not done the right way.
You should be rewarded for competence and capability in doing a job.
When you look at what he's gone through, them trying to break him, trying to kill him, he's still out there fighting.
This guy has been tested in every possible way. It's inspiring.
I'll call him on the phone as a friend and be like, hey, you good? How you doing? Unfazed.
He threatens this entire system of the corruption that is the U.S. government.
With all of these forces coming against him, not for a moment did he ever show that insecurity or fear that someone might feel when they don't know what's going to happen to them tomorrow. And that is who Donald Trump is.
Wow. Wow. Wow, man, that was awesome. That was awesome.
Pretty powerful.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
I'm getting chills, like, just watching that, and I'm thinking about the production process, right? And I'm thinking, because, I do news, and I do editing, and I understand the flow, and I'm scripting and stuff, and I'm going, Okay, first of all, how long was this in production for? And with respect to like the assassination attempt, I mean, were you guys already in production, and then this thing happens, and then just throws you guys for a loop, or how did this whole thing come about?
So that's a great question. We started so late in production that we're being checked by the Guinness Book for the quickest writing, shooting, editing, and then going to theatrical is 2 months.
2 months?
Yes, and you
Wow.
being in the business, a lot of folks who actually are in the business and understand that that's almost impossible. Um,
Well,
but
just a
but I
little.
got to give credit.
I was
I
gonna
got to
say.
give credit. My director, yeah, my director. First of all, Arthur Sarkeesian is a legend. He's got billions of dollars in box office. Christopher Martini, who directed the last movie, The Relentless Patriot, directed this one with us. I got to give shout outs to Frank Torcha, who moved mountains for us. Chad Campbell, Michael Gianantonio, Dave Wilson, and our PR team. They all kept us, in the news as we were making this. Ophelia Someg, Nicole Macciello, Peter Abrahamian, all these folks were integral parts with Arthur Sarkeesian and I, to really and our lending, our arm, our financial arm. There's a gentleman named Jazz Mather who from Limitless stepped up and made sure we had anything we need. So I'm very, very thankful. Cece Walkening, High Walkening, all these folks came in and they made sure that in that small period of time. Now, we were in discussions for a while. And when you're doing a movie with a family like the Trump family, they're trying to win an election. While we are trying to make a movie to help them do that, their main focus is winning an election. So to get them locked in and sit down, we couldn't do anything until the family was ready. We didn't start filming the family until August 21st.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the logistics alone of all those high-profile people in the middle of an election cycle, in the last 90 days of an election. I mean, how did you convince them to jump on board? I mean, obviously you were at Mar-a-Lago, you met the president previously, so there was already some connections there. But just to get it all to mesh. I mean, how did you pull that off?
Listen, Lynn Patton, who's Trump's senior advisor, and Siggy Flicker are two amazing human beings that helped us tremendously to be put in a position to succeed. And we basically, look, we had to put a pitch together. They're pitched a lot. And like you said, there's other films, I may not have seen or really dived into them, but we knew Dinesh had something that was being done. We know Tucker was working on something,
Oh no,
but
that
we
the
had to
film I'm
come with
talking
some.
about. The film I'm talking about is a cinematic film, and it was just at the film festival in Cannes.
Oh, you're talking about The Apprentice.
The Apprentice, yeah, that nasty film. That's what
Yeah,
I was talking about.
that's a bash. That's a bash piece.
Right.
They're gonna. That's coming out this coming Friday, and their goal is to bash him. And look, everybody has the. We live in an amazing country, the United States, where the First Amendment, you have your right to make and create as you wish. And I support the First Amendment. I always tell people, I look. I'm a guy that I've been bashed by the media. I've always been an entrepreneur. I tried to buy the Dodgers with a group of people in 2012. And, when I started to say I'm a blue blooded American and I bleed red, white, and blue, the media turned on me, ironically. Wow, crazy. Who would have thought that? It's almost like saying make America great again is a
Yeah.
bad thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I know how quickly things and people can turn on you. So to get back to your initial question, we put together a very solid synopsis storyline because everybody wanted to talk about January 6th. Everybody wanted to talk about what happened in the election in 2020. Everybody wanted to talk about all these different topics. And we said, you know what everybody's missing? Who this man really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to so many people since March, since I was blessed to hang around him for 4 days. And everybody's like, hey, man, this guy's heart. You don't know his heart. You don't know his heart. And I'm starting to see the theme there of, hey, and then I've talked to other folks that were going to do productions about him and basically, started to tell them my ideas and we were going to collaborate, but they weren't in alignment with us and what our real ideas were. They didn't have all the facts as we did, and we just said, you know what, screw it. We're going to pitch it to the family, and we're going to see what they say. And luckily, they said, you know what, we love everything about you guys. And from what I understand from the trailer and what they saw, they're really, really happy with what we did.
Oh, it looks amazing. And you've got Hulk Hogan, Dana White, Frank Stallone.
I made Hulk Hogan cry. Just let I want to say this. Hulk's going to be pissed at me.
Oh,
But
boy.
I made him cry twice talking about the assassination attempt, and you're going to see that in the movie. Because I'll tell you, Frank Stallone and Hulk Hogan. While we have all these other amazing people you were naming, we have Kyle Forgard from the Nelk Boys in it. He does an amazing job. Amber Rose is phenomenal. She has such huge moments being a person who was on the other side, and then her dad told her, hey, do some homework on this family and this man, and she's glad she did. But Hulk Hogan and Frank Stallone, they steal the show. I mean, these are guys that have known President Trump for over 30 years, and they really steal the show. Look, I know this is my studio's movie. It's my movie, and this sounds like something that everybody says. This is probably the greatest documentary I've ever seen. And I give my team all the credit. Yes, I came up with the idea. I came up with the storyline. I came up with the questions for the people. But when I sat down with my team, I says, I need you guys to make this way. And then you get the expertise of a genius. Arthur Sarkeesian's my mentor. And, seeing his process and working with him and collaborating, this movie, if Hollywood was fair, we'd have some statues afterwards.
I worked with Aaron Russo, Hollywood producer who made The Rose, or he was he made The Rose with Bette Midler, Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. He was my mentor, and I went on and made.
Well, he came out with some controversial information, didn't he?
Oh, he did. Yeah, he made the film America, Freedom to Fascism, and then I went on to make about 3 documentary films with after he passed. But, you talk about his heart, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to just segue for a quick second because, I had an experience with Trump, and I was supposed to get a picture taken with him and my wife. And what ends up happening is my wife's name was left off the photo card. And I went up to him. Secret Service says she couldn't be in the photograph. And I went up to him after, I was like 36th person in line. Everyone's all smiles and happy. And I walk up to him, and I had this kind of long look on my face. He steps back, and he goes, there's something wrong. I go, well, my wife's supposed to be in the picture. So, well, you better go get your wife. And he ordered Secret Service to go get my wife to be in the photograph. The guy overrode Secret Service protocol so that my wife could be in the picture. He recognized the significance of that very moment, and it was an amazing moment, and that I'll never forget. Listen,
I'll tell you a funny story. When we were at Mar-a-Lago, and we pretty much rented the whole place. We took all the rooms. We didn't spare a penny. He came out, and he and I were having a conversation, and my wife realized, oh my God. So she comes running up to him with her phone in the air. Secret Service almost tackled my wife. It was hilarious. I'm like, no, that's my wife. That's my wife. All right, let her in. Hey, he's a beautiful woman, let her in. He is a, when you have a conversation with him, and I was blessed to have several, he gives you his full attention. He makes you feel like, hey, you're important. And that, for a man of his caliber, of his stature, and what he has on his mind, this is a man that is being attacked relentlessly 24/7 from all parts of media, social, mainstream. And when you compare somebody to Hitler killed millions and millions of people. This man is trying to help us. And the fact that these folks are attacking him, people who have Trump derangement syndrome got to check themselves and start to say, why? And I believe some people are. I believe that this film, when people said, why did you make this movie? I wanted people to know who he really was, yes. But I was hoping to reach the other side to say, hey, for 88 minutes, sit down, open your mind, and listen to people that he affected their lives, and then make a decision, not what you're being fed through by a media that's controlled by the very man that he's coming after he's back in the White House.
How did you meet Shane Bouvet? How did you find out about his story? Because I know he's in the film as well.
So I have an amazing marketing and PR team. You know, we I named Ophelia, Nicole, and my nephew actually, Peter. Peter, we call him Little Private Eye. You know, Peter. You know, we were like, hey, we need some really good stories, and you know, Peter started getting on the phone, and he brought Don and Shane, and you know that story was really unbelievable. You know, he also brought Detective John Beza. You know, there's a great story about how Trump helped the New York police force and catching a major serial criminal. I don't want to give too much away, you know, but he stepped up and helped. You know, I mean, these are the things that nobody know. Do you know? I know people that know him for 15 years that have been supporting him since he even said he was going to run, that had no idea of these stories. None. Oh my God, we didn't know. You know, so you're going to sit for 88 minutes and learn about who this man is, the man you don't know, you know. And if you need more information, themanyouDon'tknow.com has everything. Global Ascension Studios.com has everything. We have pages, The Man You Don't Know on Instagram and X and all that. You'll be able to do your homework and really dive into a lot of the people involved in the film.
So beautiful. It's amazing. So let me ask you, how do you balance showing this personal side with Trump? And I mean, obviously he's been under attack, and you know there's been a caricature painted of him by the press. How do you balance those two and defeat the false narratives that are presented?
You just, look, we're all men of faith, and whether if you're a Christian, we have Jewish folks on our team. We're all people of faith. We all believe in God, and we believe truth. Truth wins overall, and you can only be pure to yourself, right? So, we're going to continuously tell the truth. We're going to continuously put our money where our mouth is, and basically, everything that we do, we fact check deep. We don't just fact. Denzel Washington did a great interview about 3 years ago, saying media has become so bad that they just want to be first and not truthful. And that's not what we want. We want to tell the truth and fact check and do that all the time. So we're just going to be truthful. We're going to do the work of the Lord, and everything else should work out the way it's supposed to be.
So we'll be able to see this in theaters, correct?
Yes, 25th of October. There's gonna be, I believe Fandango will start listing it sometime between the 14th and the 16th, where you can start getting tickets and which theaters, and then it'll also be on the manyoudon'tknow.com website. So yeah, you're gonna be able to see it theaters nationwide.
So what impact do you hope this is going to have on the election? Or even, I mean, people can say, oh, this is election interference, right? Like, how do you feel this is going to impact the election?
This was not made any MAGA or the election denial or none of that. This was purely about the man you don't know, and due to the rhetoric of certain folks in the media, attempts on this man's life are happening, and we document that, and how that makes all his family members, supporters feel. And what we hope is when people watch it, they watch it with an open mind, because if they do, it's right in front of your eyes. We don't hold. And that's our. If any other impacts happen from that, then so be it. But we believe when you see this movie, when this movie is said and done, and he gets back in the White House, and we start bringing things back to the way it's in our full country, I believe this film will be used in elementary schools to teach patriotism, leadership, and how to have values.
Going into the film, did you obviously had one specific goal in mind, but was there any point that just totally blew your mind and changed your perspective at all? Any story?
Going into this film, I always supported President Trump, but I wanted to know the things that I was supporting were not, I always knew they were validated, but I wanted them triple validated. Okay. And from just first meeting the family, seeing the professionalism of them and how they were professional and how they treated myself, my staff, and everybody working, and really getting the stories behind who he was. Not only do I feel, I mean, I'll take a bullet for the man. You know, that's how real I feel now after making this movie.
How do you think the Trump supporters are going to take this film in versus the critics?
I agree with you. I think volume and numbers, you know, yes, I'm the guy who made the movie, and, you know, people would sit there and say, hey, he wants people to go because it helps him. You know, that, you know, it's not the reason we made this movie. The reason we made this movie is to tell who Donald Trump, President Donald J. Trump, really is, and for hopes that people who are attacking him can take their foot off of the gas on that. And for people who have Trump deranged syndrome to start to realize that you've been fed lies for a long, long time, step out of the matrix and start seeing the truth. And then if success comes from that, the way we are as a studio, you're not going to see some of these actors and actresses that are skimpy, demonic, walking around, you know, brainwashing our kids to be evil. You're not never going to see them in a Global Ascension movie. So whatever money we make goes back into making good quality product. As I told Dan Ball on my red carpet of The Relentless Patriot, I'm here to take media back. Evil has had it for a while, and look what happened. Now it's our turn.
Now, looking at all the rhetoric, you know, you played some of the nasty rhetoric in the trailer. When you see that stuff and you look at that media landscape, because I see it every single day, and they're still doing it. I mean, I'm just so disgusted and beside myself. This is all leading up to an assassination, multiple assassination attempts. I mean, how does that affect your psyche when you see these people just spitting venom all day long?
You know, it angers me that they don't realize that their words are doing this. You know, I'm not going to get into the conspiracy side of it, but, you know, I believe it's even beyond their words, but, you know, I'll leave that for the conspiracy theorists. But, you know, you know, I know for a fact that there's assassination attempts that we haven't heard about that have been tried. And, you know, the man is still fighting. So if you have a half a brain, would you not sit there and start to say, why? Why is he still doing this? Guy's a billionaire. Could be on a golf course. Could be hanging out with his grandkids who he loves so much. He see and recognize something that is not good for all generations to come. And he's trying to do something about it. That's who the man is. He's fighting for you. Even you don't like him, you crap on him, you say all the worst things, he's still fighting for you. You know, so my hope is the rhetoric simmers down, the man wins, he shows the world what he's going to do, because we saw the people who said he was going to start World War III are causing World War III. It's happening right now in front of our very eyes, you know, and it's ridiculous.
What's next for Global Ascension Studios? You got any more plans for political documentaries, or will you be exploring different themes?
Well, we have a team now that we formed through this that'll start taking care of the document. I'm done. I did 2 political documentaries back to back to start my studio. We're getting back to film. We have some exciting projects. You know, I mentioned Arthur Sarkeesian's part of the creating the Rush Hour stuff. Maybe there's a Rush Hour thing in development. I don't know. Maybe there is. Maybe there's not. You know, maybe I'm leaking something. Maybe I'm not. You know, there might be stuff like that going on. We have projects with Academy Award winning writers. We have some historical pieces. We own the rights to the Generoso Pope family, the family that came from Italy and created the National Enquirer, an amazing story there that we're working on a series potentially with a major streamer. You know, we're in discussions talking to folks like Max and some other folks. So, you know, we're getting the ball rolling with stuff like that. But this needed to come first. This is America first. Trump puts America first, and so do we.
All right. Stick around for 1 second, folks. There you have it. Joshua Macciello. I keep screwing up this name. Macciello has given us... Macciello.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to
That's
get an
all right.
email
I'll
from
fix
this one. We'll fix it in post. It's given us a tantalizing glimpse into what promises to be one of the most talked about documentaries of the year, The Man You Don't Know. It isn't just a film about Donald Trump. It's a bold attempt to peel back the layers of public deception and media narrative to reveal the human behind the headlines. So as we hurtle towards another high-stakes election, this project reminds us of the power of storytelling to shape our understanding of public figures and perhaps even our political landscape. So whether this documentary will change minds, reinforce beliefs, or spark new conversations remains to be seen, but I have a feeling it will. One thing is for certain, though, it's got people talking. So thank you for sharing your insights with us tonight. As for our viewers, keep your eyes peeled for The Man You Don't Know. It might just change the way you see Donald Trump and American politics forever.